Good morning, all of you fantastic fours out there. Lovely to have you with us again. We were discussing amongst the teachers that work on WorksheetCloud or produce the lessons. We were discussing how not cool it is if you were one of the people who had your birthday during lockdown and you've been unable to celebrate with friends. And so we thought this week we would do something to sort of wish those children happy birthday if you've had your birthday during lockdown. Many years ago, 23 years ago exactly, when I was still in high school, I used to work at the Spur as a waiter, and so I know one of those Spur birthday songs. So I'm going to adapt it to WorksheetCloud, and this is going to be probably my only live performance of this since I left the Spur. But here we go. This is for those of you who've had your birthday during lockdown. Yo, everybody get the party vibe, cause we got a birthday in the WorksheetCloud tribe. I saw a smoke signal. I heard a bird say that today is the day. It's your birthday. Happy birthday. Okay, happy birthday if you've had. And once lockdown is finished, I'm sure you'll have a chance to celebrate with your friends. And after that very energetic start to the lesson, let's jump across to our maths for today. As per normal, just a reminder of the email address if you want to ask me any questions, grade4@worksheetcloud.com. If you have any questions, just email me. If you come across an answer and you're like, hey, answer doesn't make sense, and I'm sure I've understood what Mr. T taught me during the lesson, email me. It's possible I made the mistake in my memo. I am double checking them, but you never know. And after the lesson, click on the link above the video and do the worksheet just to make sure you've got what it is we're doing today. As has become our custom, the next page that we go to is going to be 10 mental arithmetic questions for us to practice. Today's ones are all division because we're looking at division today. Also, I've only done the answer. So in each of the ones coming up today, you're just going to have to put the answer. Remember, for mental maths, we don't write the questions, or for mental arithmetic, we don't write the questions. We just put the answers. So your 40 seconds start now. And stop. Pencils down. Time to mark. So I'll go through it once. This really does rely on you knowing your times tables. It's the reverse of times tables. So when we say 49 divided by 7, what we're really asking is how many times does 7 fit into 49? That's what division is. So the answer for number 1 is 7. For number 2, 21 divided by 7 is 3. For number 3, 30 divided by 10 is 3. 81 divided by 9 is 9. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 35 divided by 7 is 5. 80 divided by 10 is 8. 24 divided by 6 is 4. 12 divided by 6 is 2. And 30 divided by 6 is 5. We've now done all of those. I think it took me less than 40 seconds to go through them. The real trick to doing well in maths is to know these things, and if they're just there like that, I don't even need to think about them. Don't have to work anything out. It's just there. It's a fact in my head, and that helps me get through my calculations quite a lot quicker. All right, on to today's lesson, division. We're only going to look at one kind of division, although there are different ways to get the right one. We're going to particularly look at short division. So goals for today, know that they're different and correct ways of dividing. I don't know which method your teachers use at school. I know that Number Sense doesn't use this particular method that I'm going to show you today. But this is the one that I've seen taught in most schools, and it's the one that I'm going to show you today. So be able to use short division for a divisor less than 10. Know that there is a special trick for numbers where the divisor is 10. The divisor is the number we're dividing by. So if I go back to this sheet and I look at number 1, divisor is 7. It's the number we're dividing by. That other one has a special name, and the answer has a special name. I'll come to that later. Okay, so as I said before, times tables are the key to successful short division. Really, if you don't know your times tables, then short division is going to take you quite a lot longer. It's not going to be all that short. Okay, so we have 3 kinds of division that work pretty much in a similar way. First up, we have short division on the left. That's the one we're going to focus on today. That's when the divisor is less than 10. So if you're dividing by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, use short division. If you are dividing by 10, then there's a little bit of a trick, and really it's much quicker to use the trick than to actually use either short or long division. And finally, long division, we use that when we're dividing by bigger numbers. So if your times tables are good, you could still do 11 and 12 with short division, but my suggestion is switch over to long division for numbers that are bigger, or divisors that are bigger than 10, so 11, 12, and upwards. We're not going to do long division. I don't know any school that teaches long division in grade 4, and I have taught at a few schools in my time, so we're not going to even look at long division. Lots of schools don't even look at it until grade 6, although I've always taught the grade 5s. I've taught long division. Let's jump across to our whiteboard. So I've already prepared a few. So I'm going to start off by just looking at the trick with 10, just because that's quite a nice one, a simple one. So remember, we've been working with those smiling zeros. Now, what works quite nicely with this is we can kind of ignore the 0 if we've got zeros on both the number we're dividing and the number we're dividing by, the divisor. So what I can do is I can say, well, I'm going to cross out 1 from each of them. Now I'm going to say 18 divided by 1. Anything divided by 1 is itself. And my answer to 180 divided by 10 is 18. So that's quite neat. Instead of having to work out all of that 180 minus or divided by 10, I can just go 18 divided by 1. And I'll look at the same one over here. Again, we've got a 0 there, so we can cross out 1 0 from each. Do take note that you can't cross out that one, because you've only got 1 0 on the divisor, and you have to cross out the same number from each. So 1 from this side, 1 from this side. Looking at the next one, I've got 270 divided by 10. I've got 1 0 there, I've got 1 0 there. I can ignore them, and my answer is 27. This one, my answer is 60. So that's quite a lot easier than actually doing any working out. So that's the trick I like to use if you're dividing by 10. Next year, when you start to touch on decimal fractions, you will realize that, in fact, we don't even need to have these numbers with zeros on the end. It works irrespective. But you haven't done decimals yet, and so I won't touch on that this lesson. Okay, I do want to jump across just to what you can see sort of sticking out on the right a bit there. It's not super important that you know these 3 words, but if you do want to show off to your teacher when we eventually get back to school, and boy, I'm sure you're looking forward to it as much as me, then these are 3 cool words to show off with. The number we divide by, in other words, this number here, is called the divisor. The number we are dividing is called the dividend. And the answer to a division problem is called the quotient. It's spelled with a Q, but I suppose you would pronounce it quotient, like that, quotient. Right, so those are 3 words that if you want to show off to your teacher when you go back to school, you can go, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, that's the quotient you're looking for. Sir, were you talking about a dividend over there? I'm sure that your teachers will be highly impressed if you can do that. Okay, let's jump into short division. And short division, as with all mathematical problems, I like to lay them out in this linear format. Linear just means in a line. even though we then go and put them into a different format. So you'll remember when we did multiplication, I would say 63 times 5, and then I would put them in the format like, 63 times 5, and I'd lay it out afterwards. That's on purpose because most of the time when you get a problem, it's laid out in a line, and being able to put that into the correct format for working out is part of the skill of doing short division. So we have this line thing that we do. Most of the children that I've taught have ended up calling it the bus stop. I suppose it sort of looks like a bus stop. I didn't give it a name when I was at school, but it looks like that. And we put the divisor on the outside, and we put the dividend underneath the bus stop. And now what we're going to do is, one at a time, we're going to see whether the 3 fits into the things underneath the bus stop. So I'm going to ask myself, does 3 fit into 6? Yes, 3, 6. Doesn't have to fit in exactly, it just has to be able to fit in. You'll see in some of our examples from number 3 and onwards. So let's look at that one. So then 3 goes into 6 twice, and I put that 2 up at the top. Then I'm going to ask myself, does 3 go into 3? Yes, it does. It goes in once. And I put that 1 on the top. Next step, I ask myself, does 3 go into 6? 3, 6. Yes, it does, twice. And that 2 goes up on the top. And finally, does 3 go into 3? Yes, it does, just once. And there we go, that's our answer. That's it. So of course I've picked an easy one to start with. If you've been doing lessons with me, you'll realize I always work from the easy to the more difficult. So the first 2 are pretty straightforward. So let's now set up number 2 correctly. So I'm going to start off by doing my bus stop, put my dividend underneath my bus stop, put my divisor on the outside of my bus stop, and now I can do my division. So I ask myself, does 4 fit into 4? Yes, it does, once. Does 4 fit into 8? It does, twice. Does 4 fit into 8? We just worked that out. And does 4 fit into 4? Yes. So the quotient of that problem is 1221. Now we're going to come to one where it doesn't fit in exactly. We go about laying it out exactly the same as we've done the others. So we start off by doing the bus stop. I think I'm going to move that down up a little bit, just so that I've got space for my arrows underneath. So 6055 is my dividend. My divisor is 5. Notice that all of the divisors are less than 10. That's why I'm using short division. It's not a rule, but it's a guideline. So asking myself, does 5 fit into 6? It doesn't fit in exactly, but if 5 people walked into a room and there were 6 chairs, they would all get to sit down. So it does fit in. So 5, I'm going to do my 5 times table and see what does fit in. So 5 fits in, 10 would be the next one. 10 doesn't fit in. So I've fitted it in once, and that's the number I put up top, it's 1. But I didn't use all of that 6, and I can't just forget about it. I've got to put it somewhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand it over to my neighbor. So I had 6, I used 5 of those 6, and I had 1 left, and I've given it to my neighbor. Now, very importantly, this is 10 now, not 1 plus 0, it's 10. And so my next step is to ask myself, does 5 go into 10? 5, 10, it happens to fit exactly. And so that 2 goes up on top. Next I ask, does 5 fit into 5? We've done that one already. And does 5 fit into 5? There we go. So the quotient is 1211. Quotient is the answer to a division problem. Let's set out the next one in its correct format. Does 6 fit into 4? It does not. So if 6 people walked into a room and there were 4 chairs, not everyone would get to sit down, so that doesn't fit. Another way of saying it doesn't fit is it fits 0 times. So I could put a 0 up at the top. And in fact, I'm going to put a ghost 0 there, and I'll come back to that at the end. I've got to do something with that 4 though, because I haven't used it. And so I give all 4 of that to my neighbor. Next I ask, does 6 go into 48? 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48. It does. It goes in 8 times. I used all 48, so there's nothing to give to my neighbor. That means the next question I ask is, does 6 go into 6? It's an easy one. It goes in 1 time. Does 6 go into 1? No. If 6 people walked into a room and there was 1 chair, they would not all be sitting on a chair. So in fact, it goes in 0 times. But I've got to do something with that 1 because it hasn't been used. So I'm going to give it to my neighbor. And finally, I ask, does 6 go into 12? 6, 12, it does. It goes in twice. And there's my answer, 8,102. I could say 8,102, but it's not very logical. So in fact, when we have a 0 on the front, what we normally do is just put a dot. This 0, however, is important. It's a placeholder, and that 0 we write as a 0, because otherwise you'd get 812, which isn't the right answer. Okay, let's look at number 5. So again, for all of these, we start off by laying them out. I would like you to try and do this one without my help. I will give you 45 seconds. I'm sure you've seen by now why it's so important to know your times tables to get division right. If you don't, you get stuck and it takes forever. Right, that's as much time as I'm giving you. If you'd like a little more, which would please me a lot, just pause the video. I'm going to go through this one now. So first up, I ask if 6 fits into 7. If 7 fits into 6. That is in fact the mistake that most grade 4s make, is they ask themselves, does 6 fit into 7? And then they say once. But that wasn't the question. The question was, does 7 fit into 6? Because 7's on the outside going in, so does 7 fit in to 6? It does not. So instead of a ghost 0, I'm going to put a dot. I can't throw away my 6, so I'm going to give it to my neighbor. So 63 now, and I've got to ask, does 7 go into 63? So here's where times tables are important. So 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63. There we go, 63. It fits exactly. So we had 63, we've used 63, and we got 9. And that 9 is what goes up top. Nothing to give to our neighbor. So we now ask, does 7 go into 6? It does not. And we carry our 6 to the neighbor. And if you are paying attention, you will realize we've done this one already. It's the one we just did, and 7 goes into 63 9 times. So my answer to that question was 909. Let's have a look at question number 6. Now, up until 6, you can see I've used a certain color, and then after 6, I've changed. There is a reason for that. I'd like you to try this one on your own, and then I will do number 7 as an example, and we can try number 8 on our own. So I'll give you 30 seconds for this one. If you'd like longer, you can always pause the video. Okay, I think that's enough time. Pause if you'd like some more time. So I'm asking, first of all, does 8 go into 7? Nope, 8 is too big. So we get a 0 on the front, or just a dot because we don't read that 0. Carry my 7 to the neighbor. Then I ask, does 8 go into 73? Oh, definitely fits, but how many times? Now you've got to know your 8 times table. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72. 72 is going to be as many as fits, and that's 9 times 8. So we've got a 9 up top. So we used 72, and we had 73, which means we still have 1 left, and that 1 is going to go to my neighbor. Now I'm asking, does 8 go into 17? It definitely fits. We just got to see how many times. 8, 16. No, that's going to be as many as there are. So 16 was 2 times. The 2 goes up top. We had 17. We've used 16, which means we have 1 left to give to our neighbor. Now I ask, does 8 go into 18? Again, it definitely fits, but how many times? 8, 16. 16 is as many as going to fit because 24 is too big. So we've only got 2 that fit in. So we've got a 2 up top. Oh, but we've got something left over still. So we had 18 and we've used 16. We've still got 2, but there's no neighbor to give it to. So we have something left over. We have 2 left over. So the word we use for leftovers is remainder. And we say remainder 2, and many of your teachers will shorten it to rem2. And some of your teachers, I don't do this, but some of them can shorten it to just R. So they just say R2. But for now, I think write out the word. Actually, I realized this one should have been in light blue because this is one of the ones that was these ones. Okay, well, let's look at the next one as an example, and then number 8 you can try on your own. So we've got 9,187 is the dividend. The divisor is 9. Let's see. Does 9 fit into 9? Indeed it does. It fits in once with nothing left over. Does 9 fit into 1? No, it doesn't, with 1 left over. Does 9 fit into 18? 9, 18, it fits exactly, it fits twice, no leftovers for the neighbor. Does 9 fit into 7? No, it fits in 0 times. But we still have something left over. We have a leftover of 7 because we haven't used this 7. So we've got a remainder of 7. Right, number 8 stands there all ready for you to do. This one I'd like you to try on your own. It's got a nice, let me scroll up. It's got a nice small divisor, so this one shouldn't be too tricky. I'll leave the number 7 so you can see it if you need to. Number 8 on your own, 30 seconds, go. Right, if you'd like longer, just pause it. Let's have a look. So, does 3 go into 5? It does, just once with 2 left over. Does 3 go into 29? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 9 times. That's as many as will fit. We had 29, we used 27, which means there are 2 left. So 2 is what we give to our neighbor. Now we're asking how many 3s in 23. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. 24 is too many, so 7. We had 23, we've used 21. because 7 times 3 was 21, so that's how we know we've used that many. And so now we say we've got 2 left over for the neighbor. Oops, I forgot to draw that line. Okay, 3 into 26. Do I need to do my times table? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24 fits, 27 doesn't, so this time, sorry, 27 doesn't, so this time it's 8. Oopsie. 8. Okay, so we had 26, we used 24 of them to get that 8. So we have 2 left over. Now we're asking, does 3 go into 20? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21 doesn't fit, so we've got 6 that do fit. We had 20, we used 18, which means we have 2 left. So remainder 2. Okay, I've got 2 here for you to do on your own. I'll give you about a minute before I go through them. While you guys are busy, I'll give you a 30-second head start and then I'll write them down. Right, let's go through number 9. More time, pause. 5 goes into 7 once with 2 left over. 5 goes into 23, 5, 10, 15, 20, 4 times with 3 left over. 5 goes into 38, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. 40 is too much, so it goes in 7 times. So we had 38 and we used 35 because 7 times 5 is 35. So we still have another 3 left. And now we ask ourselves, how many times does 5 go into 34? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 is too many, so we've just got 6. We do have leftovers. We had 34, we used 30, because 5 times 6 is 30, which means we have a remainder of 4. Last one. I'm going to go straight in. Pause if you'd like more time. 6 into 4 doesn't go, can't fit. 6 into 47, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48. So 48 was too many, so it's 7 times. 7 times 6 is 42, so we had 47, we've used 42, which means we have 5 left. So we give 5 to the neighbor. 6 into 56, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54. The next one would be 60, which doesn't fit, which means we've got 9 fitting in. We had 56, we used 54, we have 2 for the neighbor. 6 into 23, 6, 12, 18, 24 is too much, so we've just got 3 that fit in. We had 23, we used 18. If I'm doing my quick subtraction, I can do this mentally, but if you can't, you're welcome to jot things down. So I've got to borrow. 13 minus 8 is 5. 1 minus 1 is nothing, so my remainder is 5. And that's short division. It's not as complicated. I know some people struggle, but the people who struggle don't struggle because they don't know how to do it. They typically struggle because their times tables are bad. So spend that time, spend 10 minutes a day practicing your times table. There's some great videos on YouTube where people have put the times tables to various pop songs, which are quite fun. I think there's one called Times Table Mashup, which has had quite a good effect with some of my past students. who are now very good at their times tables. Okay, let's finish up our lesson. Thank you for watching. A reminder, if you want to email, grade4@worksheetcloud.com. Click on the link above just to do this, to check that you've understood short division, that you can manage short division. It has been a pleasure to be with you today. I look forward to seeing you again. Goodbye, grade 4s.